Hi everyone. So, new year, new launch. I'm finally launching my first ever concealer. I have been working on 4 different formulas. This was actually the third one that I started, but it's ready first, and that's honestly how it goes sometimes. So, welcome my Pinpoint concealer. This is my micro correcting pencil concealer. This is honestly a game changer. It is incredibly precise. It has a tip of 1.5 millimeters. So all those years I've been using tiny little brushes, this delivers exactly that. It's completely camouflaging. So whether you've got broken capillaries, whether you've got marks, pigmentation, whatever, this really conceals and covers them. It's self-setting, it's waterproof, it's sweat-proof, it's long-wearing. So once you've applied it, once you've covered whatever it is you need to cover, it just sets and it goes nowhere. And we've been testing this out. It's been tested in labs. It's been clinically tested. We've been testing it when people have been swimming all over the summer, going to exercise classes. You can use it on top of your foundation, on top of your skin tint, your tinted moisturizer, or just on bare skin. So what can this little miracle worker do? Well, it's seriously like a Swiss Army knife. It is the Swiss Army knife of concealers. It can lift micro shadows, cover broken capillaries, redness, marks left by spots, pigmentation, correct your makeup. If you mess up your makeup, it can correct it. It is micro precision camouflage. So why Pinpoint concealing? Why have I been talking about it since the early days? And any of you that have followed me right from the beginning of my YouTube will know that one of my earliest videos was an acne covering video where I demonstrated my technique. And the reason I had this technique, this Pinpoint concealing technique, is because I myself had suffered from really bad acne. As a teenager, I'd had it on my back, but it wasn't until my early 20s. So when I was just starting my career and I was living in Paris and going on all these really amazing shoots, that's when I broke out in this persistent, constant acne on my face. And I feel I was so broken by it. I would go to shoots and it wasn't a time when you could wear heavy makeup. It wasn't fashionable. It was the 90s. So everyone was grunge and hardly any foundation or hardly any makeup on their faces. And I just felt so broken by it that I just started to really hone this technique on myself. How can I cover all of my spots so that I feel confident, I feel good walking into a room, and I don't look like I'm completely caked and plastered in makeup? So I would practice, and I got to a point where I was so good at it that people would compliment me on my skin all the time, saying, "Oh God, you've got such perfect skin naturally," and things like that. And I remember I started working actually with a musician who had very bad acne, and I did my technique on her, and she was so blown away that she told a lot of people, her publicist told people, her manager told people, and it kind of got around that I was the person that could work with anyone that had bad acne. So whether it was models, they would make a beeline for me and they would book me, and I would do my Pinpoint concealing technique on them. And very often I teach them how to do it themselves as well. So really it's born out of that need, my own need to, I remember just how it felt to wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom mirror on the day of a big shoot and see, a huge new spot that I had to contend with and deal with. So I knew how that felt. So after that, I was just honing it and using it on all my clients. Doesn't matter what I was doing, I would always use my Pinpoint concealing technique. And I became so known for creating the most natural looking skin without using heavy makeup. And it's something that I've owned to the point where I think every video that I've ever put up on YouTube contains the word Pinpoint concealing, or I'm actually doing it. And I'm very, very often, people come up to me on the street and say, "Oh my God, are you Lisa Eldridge?" And they'll always say the same thing to me, which is that first video that you put up about covering acne and your Pinpoint concealing technique changed my life. It really gave me a whole new perspective on skin. So that is why Pinpoint concealing. It's got to the point where I've even trademarked that name. Pinpoint concealing, I own the trademark for that. It's a registered trademark. It's not just me, it's it's me to my core. It's me as a makeup artist, but it's also me to my actual core. So I'm actually wearing it now, just on bare skin. I don't have my skin tint or foundation on. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to show you how I like to apply it and show you how my technique works so brilliantly with my Pinpoint concealing pencils. So I'm launching with 16 shades. If you go to my website, you'll see the final shoot that I did with all models that had skin issues, and there is zero retouching on any of the imagery. So there's before and there's after, and there's no retouching. And I just wanted people who are happy to show whatever issues they were having with their skin, and also to show then how we could use the concealer to obliterate them, and how just to almost like digital retouching, but in real life. And throughout that process, we met so many people. So we were constantly trying it out. The biggest thing was that everyone was like, when is this pencil coming? I want it. But we got to the point where we'd created a matrix where we had all the shades that work. So whether you are someone that wants to match the foundation or match to the tint, or you just want to wear it for a particular skin issue, we have honed this technique and honed the color matching. So please do reach out to my CS or go to my website and look at the matrix that we've created, which really has been founded on cold hard facts of doing hundreds and hundreds of faces with these pencils. So let me show you my technique on bare skin. So as I said, there's a 1.5 millimeter tip. The pencil is a twist up, so you just twist up when you need to, and there is a sharpener in the base of the pencil. It is completely self-setting, waterproof and long wear. For this reason, when you've finished using it, you must always put the cap back on securely, because otherwise it is going to dry out. So put your cap back on when you finished using it. So how to apply it? It works equally well at the end of your makeup. So maybe you've completely done your foundation, you've done a liquid under your eyes, you've done a bit of concealing, you've finished your makeup, and you realize that several little spots are still showing through, or you want to go and hyper perfect your makeup. You can use it in that way at the end of your makeup. You can obviously use it while you're doing your concealer and you're using this at the early part of the makeup, and likewise on top of tint as well. So I've taken all my makeup off apart from a little bit of highlighter, and I'm going to show you how you can use it just on your bare skin and how best to use it that way. These tips will also apply depending on whether you've got foundation or tint on anyway. So these are my absolute top tips. And as I say, this is my signature technique. So there's nothing I don't know about this technique and making it look really, really natural. So the first thing to say is when you're concealing something, so say for example, you have, like I've got, I don't have a lot of breakouts at the moment, but say here where I have like a brown spot, the thing that you don't want to do is a really solid circle where you don't blend that. You just let that set, because it's going to give you a hard edge. And because this is such a camouflaging product, you should never apply it in that way. The best way to apply it is to say, for example, I've got little dots here. They're a mixture of broken capillaries and a little bit of pigmentation there as well. The best thing to do is very lightly kind of scribble over the area. Blend with fingers. This is particularly good if you're not wearing any other makeup, because it helps to blend it into your skin. And then go back in and just lightly scribble on the mark. By leaving those edges almost jagged and blending it into a thinner edge, it's kind of like, when you look on a map when you're looking at, like, I don't know, a mountain or something, and you have those lines that tell you what the gradation is of the landscape, where you have that kind of the center, or like say if there's a volcano and you see those maps that they show on the news if a volcano has erupted, and it shows you like the center where the most concentrated thing is, and then a little bit less, little bit less, little bit less. That's exactly the best way to use this pencil. It's a bit like digital retouching. It's something so exact and precise and full coverage. in the way that whenever I used to do this technique, I wish this pencil had existed when I had my facial acne. This is what I needed, because I would always be with a mirror trying to mix my concealer with a tiny little brush and then trying to dab it on with my brush. And whereas this is something you can keep in your handbag, and we've tested it with people, as I say, going swimming, going on F45 exercise classes, and it is so good for just deleting anything. So around my nose, I have quite a lot of redness and broken capillaries. So if I was wanting to do this area, I'd start by kind of scribbling over the area. You can also use a brush, by the way. Now, because that's quite a big area of redness, I'm just going to, and had I used a tint or a foundation, most of this would be covered. I'd just be doing 1 or 2 bits, but because I'm not, I've just done my thin layer there, and now I'm going to go in and take out that one red vein that I've got there. And just tap it into place. I was hoping to wake up with a big spot today because I needed it, but we do have lots of models with, various issues that we worked with on the photography. So going on to my chin area here, again, I do have, actually, let's do this. Here I've got a little brown patch there. Voila. Delete, delete, delete. The aim is that by the end of it, even if I was wearing my skin tint or my foundation, that it just never looks like you're wearing too much makeup. That's the kind of fundamental principle behind my pinpoint concealing technique, that you have a light coverage, maybe of foundation all over, and then you're just going in exactly where you need that coverage, so that the area as a whole, although I have quite a lot of camouflaging product on here, it still doesn't look like I have any makeup on. So continuing here, obviously I've got quite a lot of redness on my chin, and on top of that, lots of little micro things to conceal. So these are just marks, really. Previous spots, little bits of pigmentation, a couple of red broken capillaries there. So I'm actually going to start by just, again, going over the area as a whole. This is the step that's not necessary if you've already done your tint or foundation. Then once I've done that, I'm going to go in, and I don't know if you can see those 2 red capillaries. I'm just going to go in and just delete those 2. Goodbye. They have gone. Another little bit of redness there. Oh, that is a spot coming up. Here I've got more little brown pigmentation. And if you're doing this without wearing any other makeup, you might want to do this with a brush as well. You don't have to use fingers. But say like here, I've got a lot of redness coming in all around this area. And I would do just a buff there with my concealer. And then I would go in and take out what's left, which is 1 broken capillary there and 1 broken capillary there. So this is the best way to camouflage if you're not wearing any other makeup. You may find that if you've done foundation, it really is just little things that are sticking out, like the smaller things, less of the bigger areas, because foundation and tint will cancel out those bigger areas, and you'll just be dealing with those tiny little details. I'm also going to show you how I love using this for micro shadow lifting. And it works so well. What is micro shadow lifting? This is for me anyway. Sometimes I look here and it's not so much redness, but it creates this sort of shadow here. Sometimes I see it coming around here and up. It's like a kind of a shape like this and here. And honestly, when I use this pencil, it is like a cosmetic procedure because it completely lifts and takes away all of that sign of kind of aging and fatigue, which is just like a miracle. For this, I might use a lighter pencil. So this is shade 3, which is more of a golden shade, and it's lighter, but it's good because I'm quite red around here. So the shadows tend to be red, sort of grey red shadows. So say here, for example, if I just wanted to lift a shadow, if I was going to an event, I kind of just draw a line where the shadow hits, and then I just tap it in. Just comes across here. I don't know if you can see the difference there. I mean, I'm well lit today, so. But this was one that we definitely used a lot, and I do use a lot on clients. If I just see a little shadow, this also works really, really well underneath the eyes. Now, it's not the kind of formula that you would use all under your eyes, as a kind of full concealer. But if you have done your concealer, or you're on a day like for me today where I'm not really wearing any makeup, but I just have little areas. So for me, it would be here, where it's almost like a dark blue shadow, and I just wanted to lift that. This is so perfect for that. It's also really perfect when sometimes you do your under eye concealer and you're left with this one shadow, usually this kind of a shape, like almost like a semicircle. And I would just use it just in the inner corner. And I might even use the lighter one there just to lift that dark corner. So it can be used at the beginning, it can be used at the end. Certainly with some of the models on the shoot, I did all the pigment sort of lifting at the beginning, then put the tint on, then did a little bit more with the Pinpoint concealer. But in most cases, it's kind of at the end of the makeup where you're just hyper perfecting it. Or, as I say, it's a day like today when you're not really wearing any makeup, but you just want to cover a few little mini things and just be confident that they're going to stay concealed. They're not going to come off. We've done a load of clinical trials with this, so it really does stay put once it sets. Another thing that it's really good for is micro correcting your makeup. So if you are doing your face, full face of makeup, and you find that you're trying to make your eyebrows look really clean, like I have a little bit of pigment above my eyebrows, you can use it to lift and conceal around your eyebrows. Likewise, you can use it around your lips. If you're doing my lip lifting technique, not only will it help to conceal around your lips, but because it sets and it's fully waterproof, it will stop any migration of lipstick. So it's really, really good for around the lips as a kind of last minute before you put on your lipstick. Just trace, and particularly good if you want to do a lip lift as well. The other thing I really like using it for is, and I use a lighter colour for this, underneath my cheekbone here, I have like a patch of redness, or I guess it's pigmentation-y redness. So I use a lighter shade and I just scribble on that and blend that out. And it just means that whatever I'm putting on my cheek, or if I'm using a little bit of contour, the whole thing isn't dragged down by a patch of pigmentation that's right underneath. I don't really have it on this side. I have it a little bit, actually. I'll just show you what I mean. It just evens out that slightly dark patch there that I have. So I'm going to keep going and just conceal everything. Here's another place that I always use it. In between my eyebrows, I've got, I don't know what that is, but it always looks like a shadow. And if I just conceal it, I'm using pencil 5. Just takes that away completely. Another place I really like to use it is just the outer edge of the eye. If you're doing an eyeliner, you know, and you kind of put your eyeliner on and then you've maybe used a little Q-tip to blend it, and then you're like, oh, it looks a bit messy underneath. You go in with this and just draw a line, whether you're wearing makeup or not, and it just lifts everything up. And just pat it into place, if you can see that effect. So I'm just going to go around now and do what I would normally do, which is just delete, delete, delete anything I don't want to see. The other thing you can use it for is, and it's fantastic for, is covering tattoos, for using on the backs of your hands. So if you have like little marks on the back of your hands, your neck, your legs, I've used it on, I have a particular ingrowing hair that just never goes away on my lower leg, and I've used it on that, and it just completely covers it, and wore it in the summer, didn't come off, stayed concealed all day. So anything that you feel that you want to just lift and conceal, get in there. Where it works really well is the top of the cheekbones. When you get, even sometimes when I've fully done my makeup, I see sun damage poking through, and I just scribble. I literally go in and scribble, and then just haphazardly, and then tap, tap, tap with my finger, and it just completely takes the eye away from that. You can't see it. And again, it's creating that kind of seamless dissolve around the edge, you know, not drawing that circle. It's just being a kind of scribbly, it's very like an art pencil in that respect. The finish is kind of a soft matte finish. So obviously I'm looking quite greasy at the moment because basically my skin is quite greasy. But you don't need to powder once you've used this, but obviously I am going to powder my face because my skin in general needs a powder. But you don't need to powder to set it. And I'm just going to use the lighter shade again, just to micro lift shadows on this side as well. And it's so good for that line. If you're someone that can conceal everything around your eyes perfectly, but there's always one tiny little area that needs a microscopic lift. And honestly, the devil's in the detail with makeup. You kind of get it on and you find that these little tiny things are the things that kind of ruin the overall effect. So I probably have used a bit more than I would normally, because 9 times out of 10 I put a bit of skin tint on first and then I go in and just get rid of anything else. But I wanted to show you how it works on bare skin and how you can do slightly bigger areas and just sort of stipple it on a little bit more. But yes, it works just as well depending on how you use it. And I feel like if you are someone that doesn't really wear any base at all, but you just want to cover a few things, this is like the dream, because it's so easy to use, it's so precise, and once it's on, it just stays put. I'm actually going to use a tiny bit of powder, really just for my skin, not to set the concealer, because you're probably thinking, well, it doesn't look any different to how I looked 10 minutes ago, but I want to put a before and after side by side right now so you can see what the miracle of a little bit of pinpoint concealing looks like. So I've just finished my makeup. I just put a touch of blush on. So overall, I'm just wearing moisturizer, some elevated glow, brow gel, mascara, a little bit of eyeshadow, lip liner, and Pinpoint concealer, and that is it, on a touch of powder as well. I cannot wait for you to try these. As I said in the intro, they are seriously like a Swiss Army knife. They do everything, whether it's a final perfection, whether it's just about covering something on the go. Honestly, this is a game changer. They are so precise. It is really micro precision with macro impact. Also have a little surprise. It's a new limited edition gift with purchase bag. And this one is slightly different from my usual bags. It is really soft vegan leather in this gorgeous olive green colour. and it has a zip all the way around. And this one is so nice just for keeping your tint, your pencils, any other makeup on the go. If you have any more questions, please do let me know in the comments. If you are waiting for that liquid concealer, the first one, please, it won't be too much longer. And I know I say this every time, but I'm going to say it again. I do have the best customer service. So if you need any help shade matching, please do reach out. Honestly, we've used these shades on hundreds and hundreds of faces. So we've had so many people coming in with birthmarks, tattoos, pigmentation. We've been trying the colours, matching also them to either my foundation or my tint, so we know exactly which shades work. So please do reach out. We've also created a really good matrix, which will be on the website. So go to the website where you can match up depending on your issue, depending on your shades, all of our recommendations. So it will take a lot of the guesswork out. And if you are in the UK, I am available in certain stores around the country. Reach out. We can let you know which is your closest store as well. I can't wait for you to try these. You are going to love them. See you soon.